Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. Today we're just going to be doing a lot of building up our base right now, so it's mostly going to be a lot of background crafting today, but I thought we could do a little bit of storytelling. So today I thought I'd tell you all why Abiotic Factor is one of my favorite games to play. I am a big fan of a lot of survival crafters, and they're one of my favorite genres that I really enjoy to play. I'm also a fan of the Half-Life series from Valve. I've played through Half-Life 1 and 2 several times, and I've always had a blast with these kinds of games. When I first saw Abiotic Factor posted on Steam, before early access, it looked a lot to me like it was going to be a Half-Life style survival crafter, given the graphics looked much similar to the old Half-Life games. Once I got the game and I started playing before the Crush Depth and Halloween updates, I quickly realized that this game was a lot more than just a Half-Life skinned survival crafter. For starters, it has a closed map that opens up more through progression. I prefer games like these as I always know where to go for certain resources, but also it gives more of a sense of progression in finding all these new areas and new materials as you progress through the game. The map is amazingly well made, and it provides a lot of shortcuts and loops that go back to main areas, particularly the office sector, which you guys will see as we continue further through the game. There's an overarching story that happens throughout the game as you progress, with many details hidden in terminals and holograms. It's actually pretty interesting and helps add to the mystery of gate facilities. The crafting system, while robust, isn't overly complicated, having items split into categories with many of them using similar components. It helps mitigate having to track down dozens of different resources all the time. The combat, while a bit clunky, also isn't overly complicated. While there's a weakness and resistance system in place, it doesn't actually completely shut down certain playstyles and builds, so it allows you to keep playing the game without worrying too much about having to be optimal using only the best weapons. The game is also great to play with friends, but also just as good solo. It works well in allowing everyone to specialize in certain tasks or combat styles, and there's always room for shenanigans, from watching your friend projectile vomit for making bad food or radiation, to laughing with them when one of them poops their pants eventually. On the same note, though, throughout the game, it switches moods quite well, from worrying about survival to comedic gags to actual horror and dread, which brings so much more life to this game, and is why I highly recommend you all give it a try and show some love to the devs. Anyway, back to the game. Here I'm actually building up the base here. I'm building these power plugs so that way I can separate the power into these batteries. These makeshift ones should have enough power to at least last us up until maybe like the last couple minutes of night, if we plug it into a single workbench at a time. I go ahead and build a couple more, and then I'm gonna get that repair and salvage bench. This will allow me to actually repair some of my stuff using materials rather than actually having to go build a new one, which is really nice. Things can also be repaired with duct tape in this game as a quick matter if you don't have a workbench on hand. Getting a few more batteries. Gonna go ahead and set up a portable stove. This will work much like that fryer in the kitchen, but just run off the power grid instead of having to constantly run around back and forth to that. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and start clearing the last of some of the accessible areas in the office sector before we move on, progress the story. I'm gonna be needing this energy brick to open a gate upstairs, so we're just gonna get a couple more things stowed away before we head up there. Gonna make a quick spear and a few nets and some bandages, since there's probably gonna be a few aliens that we gotta kill along the way. And let's go ahead and get up there. Some peccary pests we can kill real quick. Harvest their meat and grab whatever was left behind in this office before we reach the power brick place. So now inserting that in there, we open up this blast door for us to progress, which also gives us access to open the same one that loops back around in the upper floor for that elevator that we will be taking up soon. There's another security bot here, and it looks like we have another employee, Grayson. Just gonna kill this pest real quick. Chop him up, and let's go ahead and talk to Grayson here.
The soldiers came through. They locked down manufacturing, wanted information about the silos on level 3. They weren't gatekeepers. They were something else. I couldn't tell them anything. But if you can find a power cell, we can use a forklift to open the door. Get out of here through the surface tunnel. Try level 3. The power cells. Energy research team.
Alright, we're gonna bandage him real quick.
I thank you. I mean it. I just need a moment. I'll be good, yeah? I thank you. I mean it. I just need a moment. I'll be good, yeah?
Alright, with Grayson bandaged up, we actually can get him as a trader soon. With the repairer and salvage bench and him bandaged, there's a chance for him to show up every day, and he can trade us, I think, of ammo and a few crafting materials. As we progress through the game, he'll have more and more options, which is honestly a really cool mechanic that they added in. And it looks like we're gonna have another recording from Dr. Derek Lance over there. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys listen to that real quick. After I fix some damage I did to these office chairs.
Dr. Derek Mance reporting. Research Director, Gate Cascade Research Facility. Originating in Antiverse 2, IS-171 is a stationary, sessile entity that traps its food with a retractable tentacle. The experience of being caught is rather like being attacked by an angry pizza. It presents no real threat, but leaves an enduring, not entirely unpleasant smell on anything it touches. Suggestions for possible applications include perfume, industrial scents, and olfactory-based crowd control weapons.
Alright, well that was a nice little bit from Dr. Mance, but now we're going to prepare, and I'm going to do something a little proactive. Let's get some, well first let's make that chef's counter so we can get that out of the way ahead of time. But we are going to make some armor, and I'm going to show you guys a neat little way to deal with those security bots kind of early on when you don't have a lot more powerful weapons to deal with them. So essentially, we can use a base defense item as more of an offensive tool, and that I'm going to show you here in a minute just what I mean by building this Choppinator, which is just literally a bladed fan, and you'll see what I mean here soon. The security bots are going to drop some special materials that we need to progress later. We're not quite technically at that point, but they respawn, I think it's like every few days, so it's kind of a good idea to, I guess, deal with them early rather than having to wait for them to respawn, as you don't necessarily need a huge stockpile of the materials they give you, but they do give you a decent amount of like metal and electronic parts, which I'm lacking on metal scrap early game. So it's kind of a good idea to kind of kill them and stockpile your metal scraps. You're going to be using them quite often throughout the game. Alright, with that, I'll show you. All you really need is a screwdriver, a hammer, one makeshift batteries, make sure it's charged up like that one, and a choppinator, and whatever weapon you want to kind of anger these robots. Alright, so we'll set this down here and put up the choppinator facing it this way. Now essentially these bots, they have this health bar here. This is just how much damage before they get actually activated. It's not actually damaging the robot now. You're about to see they're gonna come out right as soon as we hit that. We're gonna plug in our choppinator and we're just gonna poke and prod it, and you can see it's slicing them up. Ah. It hurts quite a bit. These bots do like an electrical based attack that stuns you and can kind of set you up, but essentially you can kind of dance around your choppinator here, or if you're lucky they'll just keep walking into it and just use the hammer and stuff to repair it, and it even chops it up for you so you don't even have to butcher it with your knife. But the main thing, these drop soda, so it's great for hydration, and also you drink the soda and get metal scrap from it, or I believe you can even scrap it itself. But it drops a lot of metal scrap. It drops robot oil, which can be used as regular oil, and most important is it drops its CPU that you can see there. That CPU is used in computation blocks and a few other things, and I believe later on it can also be traded for parts. So I'm just gonna go around and kill these last couple bots for you guys. You guys can see how effective this is. Use it if you want, don't, but I find it as one of the easier ways to kill these guys early on. Just speeding up to kind of get through it. This honestly is one of those examples of what I mean about you can kind of specialize. You don't necessarily have to do direct combat. You can see that literally using a trap here rather than fighting it with a spear or club. I'm just using this base trap to kill I wouldn't say it's like a mini boss, but a fairly tough enemy early on in the early game. And again, it's not like it's forced or necessarily highly recommended, but it does the job pretty dang well. Alright, once we get this guy killed, we're gonna just pack all that stuff. Just got a ton of materials, a bunch of soda, which saves us on hydration, and we're gonna bring this all back to the base, and we're gonna prepare ourselves now to head up that elevator that we just unlocked so we can keep moving in through the story and show you guys probably one of the coolest moments of the game, in my opinion, when I first started playing this way back in early access. So we'll get there in just a moment. If you guys like the fact that I am speeding up the video quite a bit to kind of get it through the mundane stuff, I'd really appreciate some feedback on that, as I am not always sure whether or not people want to actually see me do all this mundane stuff. So please leave a like and comment and just let me know as we head up to level 3 of this office sector. Here's some nice kind of like ambiance music. A little storytelling. What's going on? Dead body. Some sort of Exor beast. Let's check out this terminal. Any news? You've had those A2 samples for 2 weeks. What's the holdup? Sorry, Lenora. Yes, we think the intensity of the radiation over there is due to high entropy levels. Energy just dissipates faster. We're giving everyone iodine tablets to counteract the radiation from expeditions, but there's a problem I can't figure out. The numbers don't add up, even with the higher entropic quotient. There's excess energy coming through the gateway. Right, I'm taking the tablets too. The suit keeps most of it though. As for the gateway problem, tell Suri that what he's there for. Please copy me on any updates. And we got a little update. Looks like something about Dr. Tengu. It doesn't add up. I've been analyzing the fluctuations from the last perforation with Swan. It's like there's energy entering the system from somewhere else. We've discussed the parameters, Sasha. They're within limits. That's why we've run tests to figure out what's happening over there. The housing is shielding properly, so you'll have to define what you're seeing. The only reason you have data is because Lenora went back and got it. Don't forget whose neck is really on the line here. All of our necks are on the line. In the grandest sense, Lenora knows very well that I appreciate her work. And with that, we end there. I will see you guys next time as we enter this portal into the unknown.